You're listening to the Getting Lucky Mixed Martial Arts Podcast. I am your host, Lucky Robert Curtis. I am joined by Marcus Mitchell. Hello, Mitchell.
Good evening. How are you guys?
I'm good. We had about a 30-minute interview just now with our new favorite podcast fighter, Leonard Bad Boy Garcia, or his new nickname, the Mexican Zombie. Split Zombie.
Split.
For short, Split. We started talking to Leonard, and unfortunately for about the first 5 minutes of the podcast, we had a technical error, and we did not get his audio. I apologize.
Yeah.
It was Mitchell's fault.
Oh. Says the host.
But in that time, we did ask him specifically, and Mitchell, you can help me remember everything that we talked about in those first few minutes. We specifically asked him, here's what happened. Let me explain. When we do the show, I post it out on Twitter, and then I tweet to every fighter that we talk about. Because we're not hiding anything. I mean, we make fun of people. We talk a little bit of fun, but we're not doing it behind their back. We want them to listen. We're not saying anything that we wouldn't say to their face most of the time. And this time, Leonard actually responded back and said, hey, I'd love to get in the studio with these two guys. So we said, all right, let's do a phone interview, and he was down for it. Really nice guy. And so the first question I asked him is, what was it that we said that made you want to talk to us? Mitchell, I believe he said that he looking at a lot of what other people were saying about the fights, he thought they were sort of saying the same old thing about decisions and blah, 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 but he wanted to talk to us because he thought we had the best points, that we were making the best analysis of the fight. Is that right?
He said it seemed like a lot of people were just saying the same old, and stuff you kind of wanted to hear as a fighter, and what we said really, but it really caught him off guard as, wow, they're being real, and they made great points as to why I should have won that fight, and why I generally do come down to split decisions.
He also admitted that he thought that he lost the first Nam Phan and the first Korean Zombie fight. He said he watched the fight afterwards, and he could see what he was doing well, but when he took off his own sort of bias towards himself as a fighter naturally has, he said, okay, those guys were landing the cleaner shots. Those guys should have won the fight, which is why he was... Go ahead.
He said after the fight in the cage, he had a feeling in himself before it was announced, I didn't win that fight. Both times, both controversial split decisions. So he said, both times I knew in my body that I didn't win the fight. I didn't feel like a winner, and so it was an empty victory. But this time against Max Holloway, I felt like I was a winner. I felt like I was doing everything I should have done. And I felt like a winner.
And one of the things he did say is because he did get those split decision victories when he felt that he didn't deserve them, that's why he's not making a big mess or cry over the Max Holloway decision, even though after the fight, Max Holloway basically indicated to him in the ring that Leonard won the fight. Now Max Holloway is saying that he clearly won the fight in all of his post-fight press. But Leonard is saying, you know what, I got some fights I probably shouldn't have. I gave a fight away that I shouldn't have now, so it's not really fair for me to bitch and moan about it. Mitchell asked him about why he doesn't use his grappling more, because he actually has a ton of submission victories in the first half of his career.
Yeah, he started his career with 9 submission victories with 1 KO. Since then, he's got 1 submission victory, 2 KOs, and a slew of split decisions. And
it was in this answer that our audio started working again. So from that, in the middle of the answer, Leonard explains that he wants to use his grappling more, and then he goes into it, and then we have another 24, 25 minutes of interview. All right, so without any further ado, here is the rest of the Leonard Garcia interview.
Chance or like really getting away from the grappling, whereas it would have really helped. I think I could have capitalized a lot by grappling Holloway, and of course when you do something for 8 weeks straight, if you take a guy down and then try to like posture up and punch against a stand-up guy like Holloway who's going to try to get away from me, I made it easier for him to get back to his feet, but it looks like we're getting Cody again, so at least that's what I've been told. So, we got to go back to that same old game plan, but I'm eager to show all the new grappling skills as well.
Well, I wanted to actually talk about your ground game and everything. I remember when you were introduced to the UFC, you were a late replacement for to fight Roger Huerta when you were still a lightweight.
Uh-huh.
Up to that point, you had 8 submission victories. I mean, you were dirty on the ground. Following your entry into the UFC and the WEC, it seems like something in your game plan may have changed or your mindset, and now you're stalking people looking to just turn their lights out. I was wondering why I'm not used to seeing you rolling around anymore in the cage. Is there a difference there?
Yeah, definitely. When I first came in the UFC, of course, I was a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and that was the only part of training that I would ever go to, because that when I got signed in the UFC was the first time I'd ever trained at a gym with an MMA gym. I had always just trained Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and kind of did my own thing standing up at home, and I was lucky enough to make it to the UFC that way. Well, when I got over to Greg's, they were like shocked. They were like, "Man, you hit really, really hard," and it was one of those things where when you hear that, it makes you feel good, and I started focusing way too much on one aspect of it, and then of course, I didn't have any real technique standing up. I didn't have any really good stand-up coaches. Never, until I got to Jackson's. And then, of course, now I have Coach Mike Valley. And, now it's like I'm 33 years old, man, and I'm just now starting to learn, like the basic fundamentals of everything. So, it's coming around. And like I told everybody earlier, I mean, these are steps that, of course, if I take the right steps, I think I can take shortcuts and become, a really strong stand-up fighter, with a little more technique and different stuff. And that's what I'm hoping to do. And I hope, I was really, really happy that I didn't get cut. And it felt really good to hear Dana say that, because now it gives me an opportunity, to keep these training camps going the way I did this one. And, hopefully make, guys who thought I was just a brawler start thinking about other things, start worrying about my ground game again, start, worrying about, just so many different things that I'm able to do in the gym now. And, thank God for second chances.
And I don't want to give any disrespect to Cody, but I mean, he is kind of a one-trick pony with his McKenzie team. If you guys do end up fighting, I kind of see you walking right through him. So after Cody, would you like a rematch with Holloway, or who would you like to fight after Cody?
There's so many guys right now. Marcus Brimage, who's fighting Max Holloway, I believe. Me and him would also be a great stylistic matchup, just because he's going to want to stand and trade, and I can also if I do try to take him down. I think he's a little, I mean, we're right at around the same skill level on the ground, so I think it would be a great fight. But there's so many guys at 145 who are strikers, like pure strikers, and I would like to fight all of them.
We would like to see that.
Do you have, like you said, you are 33. Do you have what's your ambition? What's your ultimate goal? I mean, do you want to fight for the title? Do you think that's something that you can sort of put together if you go on a run in the next 2 or 3 years?
Definitely. I'm really, 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 this camp and all my training partners, of course, we got guys like Cub Swanson, Clay Guida, Diego Brandao. All these guys are at 145, and I'm super competitive in the gym against them. Like, I mean, it would be great fights if we ended up fighting each other. And, all these guys are like Cub is in the running for a title. So it feels like it definitely, if I can get, 2 or 3 fights strung together, I definitely think, they would give me a shot at somebody like Aldo or Edgar if he wins the title. That's the ultimate goal. Like, I don't want to be, doing all this and trying to make leaps and bounds and not be going for the title. I think fighters who do that, lose track of everything else and just want to be there, don't become competitive. Now, I mean, I'm not saying that it's not that it's the strongest possibility in the world, but I believe if I believe in myself and my coaches do too, anything's possible.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and you've got title experience under your belt when you went against Mike Brown in the WEC. But just to go back just a minute to the McKenzie, I agree that you probably will walk right through him. Are you looking to roll with him in any way, or are you going to take it to his chin?
I think Cody's so comfortable rolling. I mean, he's so comfortable in that guillotine position. I feel like I have to find ways to make him uncomfortable, and he tells everybody he's a stand-up guy, and I know he's crazy, and he goes for it, so it'll make for an entertaining fight. But definitely, if I could knock him out, that would put a stamp on all the work that we've been doing lately with the combination punches, not going crazy, just trying to land. But I also I feel like I'm actually more well-rounded on the ground than he is. Like you said, I think he's got that one move, and he's really, really, really great at it. I mean, it's like if you let him touch your neck, you're kind of in trouble. But I feel like if he does get a hold of my neck, I feel like I have a couple counters that are going to give him problems. And if I could even submit McKenzie, if he finds a way to keep from being knocked out or hurt to the liver really bad, I can grapple him. I think that'll also make a statement as well. So it's kind of a win-win situation for me if the fight goes the way you guys are predicting and the way I hope it does.
I'd love to see you get him in a guillotine.
That would be hilarious. I have to admit, one of the things that we try to do on our show is keep it absolutely real, and I think McKenzie's stand-up is really, really bad.
Trash.
It's bad, and so I can't see him lasting 3 rounds. One thing I wanted to ask you, you've been given sort of a gift that a lot of fighters wish they had, but it's not something you can train for, and that's just this ability to take punches. Guys like Brendan Schaub, big physical freak, but he can't take a punch. When did you know that you had just this awesome chin?
Oh man, it's from I was just naturally born that way. My dad is a horse trainer and trained. Well, we trained horses all our lives, and breaking horses from the time that I was a kid. There was a couple times that I got thrown off the horses and we got could have been rattled really bad or shook up really bad. But I was able just to get up, walk it off, and my dad would be like, "Hey, come over here. Are you dizzy? Or do you feel?" And I'd be like, "No, I'm fine. Put me back on. He'd be like, "Wait a minute." So it was like from the time I was young, I was able to do that, and even sparring with the heavier guys, they tell me, "Hey man, when you're in here, do you mind toning it down, or I'm gonna turn it up too?" And then they would see that I'd go in there and I'd start going really hard, and they would start going really hard, and they would say, "Hey man, you hit like a middleweight, you take shots like a middleweight, so it's crazy, how you can take those and still walk through it." There's times that I've not slipped punches when I should have. This fight I was really proud. I mean, I had a little scuff on my nose, but 2 days later I was out in public walking around, whereas before, like the Roger Huerta fight, the Korean Zombie fight, I didn't go out for like 2 weeks, man, because I looked like the Elephant Man. I was really, really happy that I was able to at least slip a couple this time, and that's something that we're working on. Because my coaches say, "Hey man, like anything, everything has an expiration date, so we want to keep your chin for as long as we can. There's no point in just putting it out there if you don't have it."
Yeah, like Wanderlei Silva,
right.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, you don't want to lose that.
Talking about your chin, one thing I wanted to know is you fought a bunch of different heavy-handed strikers like Manny Gamburi and Mike Brown. Who, out of the opponents that you fought, has hit you the hardest, do you feel?
If you had to think.
The Mike Brown shot was a really good one. He kind of caught me behind the ear, and that one took me out for a few seconds, but I came right back. The Korean Zombie at one point, when we were fighting the first time, I kind of backed up into a corner, and he landed a couple shots, and I was like, oh, this ain't too bad. So I kind of dropped my hands and smiled at him. He landed 4 more after that, and I regretted that instantly. I mean, that spiral turned to a frown really quick. I mean, it took me a few seconds to really kind of come back from it, and you know, I would have to say out of everybody, that was the shot that stuck with me the most.
The UFC is really emphasizing the Latino market with Cain Velasquez and Eric Perez. Is that something that you feel connected with? I mean, for instance, if there's a event in Mexico, would you be calling Dana White and the Fertittas to say, I have to fight on that card?
1,000%. My grandpa is from Tamaulipas, Mexico, and you know that would bring a lot of pride to my dad's side of the family, and you know, I still have very little family there. You know, most of them, my mom and dad were both born in Texas. You know, and their parents were from Mexico. So our family down there is really, really limited. Like, we don't have very many people still there. But just for the fact that it would be our roots, I would love to do it. And you know, I have really strong ties as far as that goes. You know, being proud to, you know, have that my roots there. And you know, of course, Goyo coming from Mexico, and then me and Cowboy kind of took him in, and you know, having it Cain be the champion right now, I feel like there's not enough of us, you know, representing the UFC. So if they gave me an opportunity, I'd love to.
Can I make a suggestion? If you fight in Mexico, can you rock the Miguel Torres mullet?
Yeah. That wouldn't be too hard of a change for my haircut, so yeah, I'd do it just for you, buddy.
I wish I was Mexican, because I think that is, on Mexicans, it looks badass to do that. Me as a white guy, I think it would look terrible.
No.
I wanted to ask you about the judging, because you do have an aggressive style where you're coming forward. Like you may have heard on the podcast, we were thinking your nickname should be the Mexican Zombie, just because you wade forward, you can take all this damage. Do you think that makes it hard for judges to sort of get a handle on you, because you never ever lose octagon control, but sometimes you get outpointed by, say, Korean Zombie or Nam Fan, and other times maybe your reputation works against you. And maybe that's why Max Holloway got the decision there. So what do you think about judging? I mean, what do you have an opinion on it, since you're like the king of the split decision?
You know, this fight was the worst one as far as that goes. I felt like towards the middle of the first round, I realized, like, in the opening minutes of the first round, he did catch me with a really good right hand. I had my feet together because I was trying to step in. And I fell down, hit my butt, jumped right back up, and I was like, oh, he thinks he hurt me. So I got to let him know that he didn't hurt me. And as I was walking him down, I noticed that his punches were kind of like peppering me, but I would notice that it didn't have any sting on him to me. He didn't feel like he had very much power. So I was like, okay, he hit me with his best shot already. Like, that had to have been it, because that's the only one that stung me a little bit. So now he's worried, and I felt like I was able to keep the pressure. Whereas before, I would walk forward, but the guys would also back me up. Like, Nam backed me up a bunch. The Korean Zombie backed me up a lot. This fight, I felt like I was able to march him down the whole time. So it felt like I had octagon control the whole time. I mean, even in the Nam and Korean Zombie fight, I ran straight to my corner and asked, hey, are we winning? You know, did we win that fight, or what did y'all think? And, you know, my coaches were kind of like, well, you know, whatever. This fight, I like jumped up after I'd slammed him out of the thing, jumped up, threw my hands in there, because I felt like I had won the fight. Like, you know, I felt like I had control through the whole thing. You know, even when you're in there and you're kind of giving each other body language, he kept looking up at the clock. One time at the end of the second round, I unloaded like a couple of shots, and he was like, you know, the bell rung, and he was like, thank God, you know. Like, he's saved by the bell, you know, so I felt like I had full control. It bothered me so much that they didn't score, the octagon control, because this one I really made it a point to stay in control.
Do you think that they counted that first? I remember the knockdown you were talking about. It wasn't really a knockdown. He just sort of caught you when you were off balance, and you had almost like a slip. It was like a leverage push down. And when I saw it live, I thought, oh, he knocked him down. But then on the replay, I'm like, oh, Leonard really just got his feet tangled, really, and then kind of got pushed. Do you think they counted that as a knockdown?
Definitely. Even when I went to the doc, the doctor was like, oh, he got dropped in the first round, check his pupils to make sure, whatever. And I was like, no, I didn't get dropped. And I was like, well, I'm not going to argue with you guys. You guys are doctors, but you can check my pupils. I didn't have a flash. I didn't have anything. Whereas before, anytime, like I remember in the Korean Zombie fight, he dropped me one time with the left hook, and that was definitely a flash. Like I felt it, and I tried to argue, but I'm sure they counted it. Even after you watch the fight in live action, like whenever it was going, it looks like a clean shot. If you don't pay attention to where my feet are, like you said, it looks like a clean knockdown. So I definitely think they gave him the points for that. And that's why I gave him the first round, because I felt like right after that I came on strong enough in the first round, strong enough to win the round, but because of the knockdown, I gave it to him. I was like, yeah, he won the first round. And, the second and third, I didn't think he had done, I think he landed the good spinning back kicks and a good jab every now and again, but, I felt like everything else was just kind of, he was, just trying to stay out of harm's way.
Yeah, I definitely had you winning definitely the last two rounds. And I noticed, listening to the broadcast, Joe Rogan said, I believe it was somewhere in the end of the first round, that you started exhaling when you were landing punches. You started making noises when you were making punches, and he said that's when you know. Yeah, he said that's when you know Leonard Garcia is on. Is that your sign to the other fighter? Here comes the pain. Is that? It's like a breathing technique. It's kind of the only way I can remind myself to breathe. If that big city says it all, man. It's just I do that, and when in grappling, when we used to grapple, they used to teach us a breathing technique, and they would tell us in between scrambles to catch your breath by going, and it helps catch your breath. And it was so weird how it would work. And whenever I would hit pads, I would try to emphasize that, but then it turned into, Cowboy calls it the Mexican war cry. So, that's what it is. It turns into like a screaming type, but that's just me catching my breath. And definitely when I'm in, starting to flow or starting to be able to throw 3 or 4 punches, that's how I keep my breath. So it starts to help out. It seemed like when you started making those noises, not only did Max's eyes light up like, oh, God, but you were also connecting very clean after that. And I didn't know I guess there's not much truth to Rogan, but it definitely impressed me.
Yeah. No, it was definitely just a breathing technique. But, yeah, I mean, I guess you could have been right because it's just like anything else when you're running, when you're exercising, when you're doing anything. If you remember to breathe correctly, your body's getting oxygen, so you're able to flow a little better. So, he could be a little right.
Yeah. Maybe the Mexican war cry scared Max Holloway a bit.
Yeah, we're definitely going to use that in future podcasts. Mexican war cry, I love it. Can I ask you a question? Back in 2003, right after you fought Justin James, you were 8-1, and you basically took off a 4-year break. You fought one time in there against Rocky Johnson, but really you didn't get active again until 2007. Why was that? What was the break for?
Trouble.
Oh yeah.
I wasn't making any money fighting back then. It's like it was at that point in time, mixed martial arts was it wasn't like a job. It was more of a hobby type deal. And I was working for Frito-Lay, work and doing that, and then I just got involved with a bad crowd. I moved to Austin. I tried to start boxing up there and ended up just, getting into stuff that I shouldn't have been into. And, it was a terrible time to take a break because that's when the MMA really kind of started taking off. I felt like if I wouldn't have wasted those 4 years, I would have done a whole lot better in my career, a lot sooner. I would have been able to made, a run a lot faster. But I mean, life's just that way, man. You flip the switch on something good and 4 years to get away from you. So, that's kind of what happened, man. And the Rocky Johnson fight, I was just kind of there. I was supposed to have a boxing fight, match in Austin, Texas, and it didn't go through. So I just called my manager, Sven, and I told him, hey man, I'm in decent shape. If you have anything coming up, just call me. And it was just out of the blue. And a week later he called me and he was like, hey man, I actually do have a fight for you. It's in 2 weeks if you're willing to take it. And I took it, and that was against Rocky Johnson. And, that one's kind of the one that ultimately helped me get into the UFC.
Mm-hmm. I was just going to say, you took 3 years off, came in and fought Rocky Johnson after having 3 years off, preparing for a boxing match, and you still come in there and choke him out. Your ground game is sick.
Yeah, we definitely want to see more of your ground game, Leonard.
I want to see a scene of McKenzie.
I'm definitely going to come out. I've been training with Gracie Baja. This is the team in New Mexico. Roberto Sousa and the group of guys that they have out there is actually like a really, really strong group. They win a lot of competitions. Diego Brandel, we found him in San Antonio and then me and Cowboy, brought him to Albuquerque with us, and he makes a big deal about it. He's like, man, your ground game is so strong. Why not use it? Why not? Let's just start tearing people up with it. And it's definitely something that I'm definitely going to get in there and do. I mean, the only thing with McKenzie is like, okay, if he does this is when we're going to the ground. If he does that, we're going to go to the ground. We're definitely not going to hold him up against the cage like he likes guys to. That's how he sets up his guillotine. He's not really good out in the open, so I figure if I can get a takedown out in the open, or if he, takes me down out in the open, then it'll give me an opportunity to go back to the ground game, and I hope I make you guys look great and go out there and submit him.
I love that.
But yeah, just be sure to get the win. Don't go crazy. Just knock him out if you can. If you have to, then submit him. But practice, because he keeps his chin straight up there. So practice your sky hook, and you'll get him.
His chin. I would love to see you crumple him. Just put him right down.
Not that we dislike Cody. Cody's got some style, but his stand-up is atrocious.
His chin is there. Rob was dead on.
Yeah. Well, Leonard, we certainly appreciate you coming on. You've been a really good sport, and one thing we do with every fighter that comes on, we sort of adopt them as one of the getting lucky favorite fighters. So we'll definitely be cheering for you from here forward.
Cool, man. I appreciate it.
Like I said, you are an extremely exciting fighter. You're arguably the most talked about undercard fighter of all time because of all the split decisions and your willingness to come in and trade. Really appreciate you reaching out and coming on the show.
No worries, man. Thank you guys, and like I said, man, I appreciate everything. The honesty is what keeps us honest. If you guys kind of came out and just serve guys a bunch of what they wanted to hear and not what they should be hearing, then you guys are hurting the sport more than helping it. So I appreciate any positive and even the negative stuff too, just because, it did make me work harder. It does make me work harder. And, I want people that seen the old Leonard Garcia and be like, man, why didn't this guy come out that many years back? Like, we should have had a talk with him a long time ago. So, like I said, I appreciate all that. And we're going to move forward and hopefully I'll be talking to you guys a lot in 2013.
Oh, I'd love to. In fact, when you get your next fight going with Cody, I'll hit you up on Twitter and we'll get you on here for a little chat about that.
I'd love that.
Perfect.
Thanks, Leonard.
Thanks, guys.
Hope you have a great year.
Thank you.
Bye.